I'll read you an article I wrote that was published in the Pitt News January 23rd, 1987, after I and Justin Vicari went to a 9.5 hour film called Shoah by Klaus Landsman. And we talked and wrote this together. It was a brutally long film, yet 2.5 years of genocide is a forbidding topic. A 9.5 hour film can barely summarize the extent of the atrocity. You leave Claude Landsman's film Shoah with a feeling that nothing has been resolved, but at least attempts have been made to express the degradation of humanity at Chelmno, Birkenau, Auschwitz, and Treblinka. In two 4.5 hour segments, Landsman interviews eyewitnesses, including survivors and personnel from the death camps. Landsman edited 10 years of documentary footage into testimony about the Holocaust and the behavior of individuals in what Bruno Bettelheim called extreme situations. The testimony sometimes seems incongruous in its dignity. Even the Jews in special detail and Nazi bureaucrats were able to redeem their dignity by bearing testimony. Some wept and would not have spoken at all had Landsman's presence not been so insistent on breaking down the barrier of silence. In this sense, Landsman is a producer, director, and interviewer who played the rules of hindsight and conscience. So demanding is the need to know in truth and accuracy about the death camps. And when Landsman violates the privacy of the former Nazis, it seems heroic. This violation involved confronting them with their past, often when filming with hidden cameras. The first section involved the return to Chelmno by Simon Schrebeck, one of only 2 Jewish survivors at that camp. As a 13-year-old prisoner, he survived only by entertaining the Nazis with songs which they taught him. All the old Polish women alive today in the town of Chelmno remember him as the little Jew in leg irons who sang on the river. Schrebeck seemed heavy and removed from life, but capable of smiling mildly at their recognition. The only other survivor wore a constant grin, removed only abruptly when he wept. The smile annoyed Landsman, who asked him to explain, but how could he? The inability to express was a constant theme as language seemed to fail each witness, as in the words of one who said, "I don't think the tongue can handle the horror." There were those for whom the memory was a chance to joke, as in the Poles who spied on the death camps for fun, trying to outmaneuver Ukrainian guards who fired at them. There were those who exaggerated their own significance. For example, the Pole who bragged that he slipped Jews water. But more often, it was a memory of relentless grief which seemed to flood the dams of language. The bureaucrats called Treblinka a concentration camp. The Gestapo called it a production line of death. The most accurate term would seem to be death camp. Himmelsweg, or the road to heaven, was the most dreadful euphemism of all. That the situation was heartless cannot be contested, yet the Warhol Ghetto was said to be the heart of the city, and the gas chambers were said to be the heart of the camp. The paradox of death in the heart almost explains the incredible insensitivity. The tension is between life and death, how to survive, how the Jewish work detail take death into their hearts in order to survive. Our lives depended on the slaughtering process, said one surviving Jew. The deepest level of degradation was that people were forced to be insensitive to the suffering of others. But such inadequacy to explain is the inescapable theme. There was no complete emotional survival for these people who never got beyond what happened to them. For both the inmates and the guards, innocence was crushed to the point where they seemed to be living in a moral vacuum. How can survivors be judged? Without these survivors, there would not even have been testimony. Landsman doesn't attempt to assign blame. It seems that blame can only lead to more death. The last 45 minutes were about Chernyakov, who was the Jewish commissioner of the Warsaw Ghetto. He tried to appease the Nazis and was violently betrayed by them. Till the day of his suicide, he kept a diary in which he tried to record the small triumphs of the human spirit. The viewer becomes an eyewitness to the incredible facts, hard to express and impossible to deny. Many of the witnesses seem less despicable because they are typical, even predictable. Yehuda Amichai, the greatest poet writing in Hebrew today, once asked of himself, half the people love, half the people hate. And where's my place between these halves that are so well matched? After watching Shoah, it becomes our responsibility to find our place. People can come away hoping rather than despising. We can know their place between those halves so well matched. Truth, such as brutally documented in this film, almost redeems the living. For the dead, there's only the inexpressible grief.